In this session, we are going to talk about Alteryx, but before we talk about Alteryx, let me talk about myself. My name is Arun, and I work as a senior data analyst in one of the big three companies. I've worked on multiple tools like Alteryx, Power BI, Tableau, QuickSight, Athena, SQL, Snowflake, Power Apps, Automate. And trust me, still now I'm trying to get my hands on different tools and technologies. Like right now, I'm learning Python, I'm learning Azure, I'm also learning Microsoft Fabric. Let me talk about a few more about the Gen Z school, which I am part of. I hope my screen is visible to everyone, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm supporting Gen Z school because they are supporting a lot of people in getting trained. Like very recently, Gen Z school offered help in supporting around 35 people. And these 35 people are basically the ones who have some gap in their career or some people who are actually not able to support their family and because of financial needs and because of financial issues they're not able to make their career into data analytics. So Zenji school is actually providing free trainings to all these people on different tools and technologies like Alteryx, Tableau, Power BI, SQL, Snowflake, uh, and a few more like Power Apps and Power Automate. So very thankful to Zenzi School regarding like to the founders also and to the mentors also who are providing their time, taking out their time in providing these trainings free of cost to all these people. Gen Z School is actually providing a lot of training to other people also at a very affordable cost. So their average fees, like per session, is less than what you normally pay to a school teacher or a school tuition teacher. Like even if you were to take a 11th or 12th physics class, chemistry class, or maths class, you would be normally paying a school tuition teacher around 300 rupees for online classes, right? Would you agree with me?
Yes.
So
Yes.
Gen Z school is only actually charging around 80 rupees, 100 rupees, 125 rupees. Like for every session, the cost of the classes and these sessions, each session will be less than 150 rupees. And these are the professional courses. So, and each of the mentors are very trained on all these tools and technologies. And I hope that you are already enrolled into one of our courses and you already know about the quality. Like recently, we completed around two batches of Power BI, and third one is actually going on. And I can share the testimonials also of the Zenzi school. Just give me a second. Like Zenji School actually have completed around 1228 bookings. We are one of the top 1%, and the ratings number of ratings are around 4.8 out of 5, and we have around 60 testimonials, which are directly written by the people who are joining the classes. So that's all about the Zenji School. Let us talk about the Alteryx. So in this session, we are going to talk about the Alteryx introduction, the user interface, the walkthrough of some of the tools, and some of the case studies which we have designed for conducting the classes. Now let's talk about the Alteryx. So Alteryx is basically an end-to-end data analytics platform which helps us in manipulating our data, transforming our data, blending our data, and doing a lot of analytics. We can connect to around like 70 plus connectors. Like we can connect our data to Excel files, CSV files, SQL. We can connect our data with the Access database, shared drives, Google Sheets, Google Drive, OneDrive, and a lot of other files and a lot of other cloud platforms. Now you must be wondering why and how actually the Alteryx differs from the programs which you are already using. Like some of you might be using Power BI, some of you might be using Tableau, or some of you might be using Excel, right? Now, if you talk about Power BI and Tableau, these are basically our data visualization tools, right? In Power BI, you have some kind of ETL layer, which is known as the Power Query, where we can connect with different data sources and we can do some kind of transformation and some type of manipulation of data, right? We can do some cleaning data and we can also create a data model, right, for our visualizations. In Tableau, we have a Tableau prep which we use to transform, clean again to create our data models. So Alteryx is basically a different tool which is normally used for creating ETL pipelines for doing a lot of analytics and for creating those cleaning our data and transforming data and manipulating our data. Now with Alteryx, data preparation actually becomes very easy, and the reason is Alteryx is basically a low-code platform tool. Like it's literally drag and drop tool. I can show you the user interface, and I'm asking again if my screen is visible and if you're able to see my Alteryx, right?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
visible.
Okay.
Okay. So on the top of the screen, as you can see, these are the number of tools which are available in Alteryx, like browsing, import, sorting, filtering, and these are the tool palettes. Like these are the favorite ones which you will be using around 60 to 70% of the times, like joining the data, appending the data, summarizing it, selecting or sampling formula. There are few more tool palettes like in and out, preparation, like multi-row formulas or record or tiles or unique or duplicating, finding the duplicates from a data. And then we have data cleansing tools also. Like in join also we have join multiple, join order data or union. In transform we have different set of tools which will help us in summarizing our data, transposing our data, like row to columns or columns to rows, finding weightage and averages, running total, cross tab, count of records. And these are basically tools which we can literally drag and drop into the workflow canvas, which says here like drop tools here, right? So with the help of Alteryx, we can connect with any data. Like we have here the input data, which I am going to drag and drop into this workflow canvas. Now this is workflow canvas where we need to connect our data. Now I have brought into the workflow canvas the input data. Now it is very easy. And the reason is like on the left hand side, we have a configuration window. For each of the tool that we are going to use, we can connect it. On the left hand side, we will, when we click on this tool, on the left hand side, we will be able to see the configuration window where we can connect it with any files that we want to. Like on the files, we can connect with Microsoft Access files, Excel files, CSVs, SQL, Tableau, Hyperdata Extract, text files, zip files, JSON files, and we have a lot of other data sources like Amazon, Athena, Redshift, Microsoft SharePoint, OneDrive, Google Drive, SQL Server, Tableau. A lot of other data connectors are actually available in Alteryx. Now I'm just going to pick one Excel file to show it to you how easy it is to use. Let me bring this file here and click on run. So I'm clicking on run, and after clicking on run, I will be see the output in the output window. So when I click on test.csv, I can see that there are around 42,458 records. Can you see?
Yeah, Ravi.
Okay, let me use a pen.
Yes.
Okay, just a second, guys. I'm trying to use a pen. Uh, yep, now, okay. We have around 42,458. So this is basically our result or output window where we can see the results. Now, if I click somewhere outside it, just a second. Close. Yep,
We cannot
Arun,
see your
I cannot see your Alteryx screen.
Yeah,
are you
same.
sure?
I cannot see your whiteboard.
How many of you are not able to see my photo screen?
Sir,
Now it
wait,
is
wait.
visible.
It's showing
yeah.
as now now it's it is visible.
Yeah,
visible.
now it's visible.
Okay. So when we click somewhere in the white space, it gives us all the messages and notifications. Like we were trying to read the files from this folder, and the file name is test.csv. And then entire workflow which we have created in the workflow canvas, it ran for around 0.4 seconds. When we click on test.csv, we can see that there are 29 columns and the number of records are these. So and similarly, we can bring into a lot of different tools. Like from CS, we want to save or output data to a different uh, extension like Excel file or CSV file or another any other file. We can easily do it by just dragging and dropping into the workflow canvas. Now, since it is a low-code platform tool and it does not require a lot of coding And it's literally like you have to drag and drop the tools into the workflow canvas to be able to create those ETL pipelines. It is very popular with data analytics, data analysts, data scientists, and data engineering also. Like even when you are using some kind of SQL, you can bring in some kind, you can connect Alteryx to your SQL databases, and you can do all those kind of analysis within Alteryx. And the output that you get from Alteryx, it should match with the queries output that you are writing on the SQL server. So it also helps in quickly validating our results from different tools and technologies. Going back to our slide, I hope it is visible again.
Hi, Arun. Can you just show one example like how an SQL output and we can validate here in Alteryx? If a
Yeah,
small
yeah,
example, if you
we
have.
will talk about that later, but let us talk about a few more things about
Yeah.
Alteryx, and then we will surely discuss how we can validate our results from different tools and technologies. Okay. So
Yes.
we have already talked about data preparation. Like we have a lot of tools like formula tool or summarizing tool or cross tabulation or change transpose tools or regression analysis or correlation analysis. We have a lot of tools available. So data preparation actually becomes very easy with Alteryx, right? Data blending, like we are able to combine different files and from different sources into just one particular data model. Uh,
Cannot hear you.
Not audible, Arun.
okay, guys, please, if you have access to the, like if you can unmute others, please do not unmute me. It's a request. I'm trying to take a session here, so please stop unmuting me. Okay, I'm starting again. So I was sharing that we have actually access to a lot of free tools and tools in Alteryx, and a lot of other tools like regression, transformation, prediction, classification. It actually requires a license in order to use those. Even a student license will not be able to help us when we're trying to use this. We have to download some other tools from the Alteryx website, and only after that we will be able to use these tools. Now, with Alteryx, we have like we can also create some visualizations also. Like in the Alteryx, we have a few tools for reporting. Like we can create some insights, or we can create some charts, report map. We can also create a table, or we can also create a, like a end-to-end report in Alteryx. But that is actually out of our scope because there are hardly anyone who is using Alteryx for visualization purposes. It just help us in analyzing like what kind of insights do we have, and it helps in analyzing and identifying the issues in our data.
Sir, is it like visualization tool?
It's not like actually a visualization tool. I will say that it's actually a end-to-end data analytics platform where you can use where you can actually create ETL pipelines and some kind of reporting or visualization you can do it in Alteryx. But there are hardly any people who are actually using Alteryx for visualization purposes. Like the Alteryx actually
Can
goes very well with Tableau and sometimes with Power BI whenever you have a huge data set. If you were to talk about the power of Alteryx, like I have processed around 60 GB data, 70 GB data, even hundreds GB of data. It sometimes takes a lot of time to run, but it actually does the job. Any questions?
Arun, one question, Arun.
Yep.
Is this tool capable of analyzing textual data? For example, the product
Yes,
review on a website.
it has actually a lot of functionalities like tools like context mining. We have text pre-processing, text classification, sentiment analysis. word cloud or zero shot text. So we can
Yeah.
create any kind of ETL pipelines that we want to have, but those will actually be part of our the like very advanced trainings.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thanks, sir.
So I, Arun, just want to ask one question.
Yes, please go ahead.
If I want to learn machine learning in Alteryx, then do I have to require any other license key, or it will not work in this student ID, right?
Just a second, guys. Okay. So if you have a student license, you are studying in a college, or if you can arrange a student license, then there are few more additional tools that you have to download to be able to use those data science and machine learning tools.
Okay.
So why
Okay.
it has so much demand in the industry?
Okay. So
What makes
basic,
it different?
yeah. So if you talk about the big four companies or big three companies or any big brands, they are all of them are using Alteryx. Like if you go through their careers page and if you try to find out their positions that they have, you will find Alteryx mentioned there also. And there are
Yes,
a lot
sir,
of
right.
positions in the market which actually are seeking for like Alteryx developers. And Alteryx actually has a lot of certifications also on their website. Let me show it to you, which we'll try to get after the sessions.
Right, sir.
Sir,
So
is
they
it
are,
useful for business analyst also?
yes, it is. Let me actually open the certifications exams. Just a second. So a lot of certification exams actually on Alteryx are free of cost. Only the advanced ones you have to pay some amount. Like,
So what makes it different than any other ETL tool?
okay, name any other tool and I will provide a brief comparison of the two.
Like we have ETL in the Power BI as well.
So Power BI has like Power Query, right? Where we can use, which we can use to connect with multiple data sources, around 250 connectors, right? In Power BI. But Power BI is
Right.
actually, Power Query in Power BI is actually very slow. If I compare with Alteryx, like if you were to process 10 GBs of data with Alteryx, it will take around 4 to 5 minutes. If you were to do the same in the Power BI, it will take a lot of time. So we were talking about the certifications, right? Like this one is the first one, Alteryx Foundation Micro Credentials. The exams will have this exam will have around 40 questions. It is free of cost. You can easily clear the exam after the class, and you can actually attempt this exam multiple times. Similarly, we have different exams also like this one, Cortex Designer Core Micro Credential for General Knowledge, and this one also, Cortex Designer Core Micro Credential Data Preparation. The website actually has a lot of information about how to prepare, but most of these things will be covered by us in the session itself. And after getting the certificate, and trust me, if you are getting a certificate from the company itself, it actually has a lot of value. Like you must be having some certifications from other institutes, right? On Power BI, on SQL, or Alteryx. They are not of any use unless until they are from big institutes like Great Lakes or Upgrade or Scalar. If they are from any local institutes or some online platform, they actually do not have any value. Since this certification actually is provided by Alteryx itself, it has actually a lot of value attached with it. Okay, so we will be focusing on getting these certificates after the class. Okay, let me come back to the user interface. So we actually talked about the user interface some minutes back. Like this is called the tool palette where we have all the tools. This is the configuration window, which upon clicking on any tool will provide us as the window to configure that tool. And this is the workflow canvas where we need to drag and drop all our tools to be able to create those ETL pipelines. And this is the result window. Is everything clear till now? Or any doubts or any
Yep,
queries?
sir.
Okay, great. Let us move to the some kind of hands-on practice. Okay. So the first tool that we have, and I would request all of you to type. So on the right side or like on the top right hand side, of the Alteryx application, we have a search bar where you have to write browse. And when you click on this example in front of browse, it will open a example for you. Is everyone able to see?
How to download this user interface? Like, I haven't done it yet.
So have you downloaded the Alteryx in your system?
No, that's what I was trying to ask in the starting.
Yeah, Arun, I have downloaded it, but I don't know how to access it.
If you have downloaded it, have you installed it?
There was like
Yeah,
few
I
days
installed it.
as I downloaded it as well.
Okay,
There was like I few
let's
access.
do one thing. I'm recording all this entire session, and people who have actually downloaded and installed, they can follow my instructions. And all those people who have not been able to install Alteryx in the system, please follow the screen and follow what I'm going to share with you. Is it okay?
Okay, sure,
Okay,
sure.
sure, sure.
Okay, great. So for all those who have installed Alteryx in their systems, I would request all of you to please type browse in the search window and then click on example. After clicking on that example, you should be able to see this screen, which I have on my screen. And then click on run. After clicking on run, like this is the input tool. The left and on the left hand side, we have the input tool. So actually, Alteryx has some inbuilt data inside it, and it has a lot of examples. We just have to search in the search window and click on example. It will show us the tool usage, the what are the features of that tool, and what can we achieve using that tool. Like the browse tool, I can show you too. Like this is the input, which is connected with the browse tool. Okay, let me show you too how actually we create such lines like connectors between two different tools. So if I click on favorites and I drag and drop the browse tool here, and then I have to connect these two nodes. So I will just click here and drag and drop it to the left hand side of the browse tool. Now my input tool, where I have the data, it is connected with the browse tool. After connecting it with the browse tool, I will click on run, and all the data from the input will be streamed to the browse tool. After clicking on browse tool, I can easily read the entire file from the window, which is the results window also, and from the left hand side also. Like in the result window, I can see that I have around 29 fields and I have 42,458 records. And these are the name of the columns, and this is the data that I have in the input, like date, time, zip code, latitude, location, etc. On the left hand side, I will be able to see the some kind of column profiling, right? Like in Power Query, we get some kind of data profiling, right? So in Alteryx also, we get to see what kind of data we have in the input file. Like date has actually these many dates, and these are the instances where this particular date is actually appearing in that column. So if I go to the zip code, or let me go to the, um, let me pick another thing. Let me pick the on street name. So if I click on this on street name, I will be able to see that out of 42,458 records, Northern Boulevard, we have around 1394 rows. Points Boulevard, we have around 1031 rows. And similarly, we can see that how many instances of that particular on street name we have for that particular column. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so browse tool actually help us in uh, like in checking like what kind of data do we have in these columns. Okay, and yeah, you can also see that date is actually in date format, which is why we have a calendar icon here. The time is actually in a time format, which is why we have a clock icon here. And borrow, I think it's a text, it's a textual field, that's why we have a ABC icon. And similarly, we have 1 2 3 icons. Okay, so it also tells us the type of data we have and how many uh, unique values do we have in
Can you
that.
explain the browse option again, please?
Okay, so browse tool actually help us in data profile information. It tells us how many fields do we have. So like we have 42,458 records, 29 fields. Okay, and we also have the size of this data, which is 22.9 MB. And it also tells us what kind of data do we have in those columns. Like by looking at the calendar icon, I can easily say that the date column is actually a date column. The time column is actually a time column. Borrow column is actually a textual field because we have a ABC written there. And we can also see that what kind of information do we have in that column, like how many unique values do we have in that column. Like in this one we have around 360 plus 5, so it's 365 type of dates we have in the date column, and these are the number of instances
Is
that.
it like a metadata?
Yes, it kind of a metadata, yes.
Thanks.
Okay, so this actually help us in knowing our data better. Okay, that's the first tool, browse tool. And we have already talked about the input tool, right? Like whenever we click on the input tool, we get option to select our data from the existing local files, from data sources, and from servers also. There is another option of bringing data into Alteryx, which is a very old tradition one. Like just drag and drop it into your workflow canvas, select the sheet, and you will be able to see that entire data. This make Like if you have any Excel file or CSV file, you just need to drag and drop into the workflow canvas and click on run. It will read that information. You don't have to bring in input data and then set up a connection. You can also drag and drop files here directly. Let me talk about a input tool if a little more. Like whenever we are trying to bring information from an Excel file, it also asks us which table or which query do we want to pick from that Excel file. So right now I have two sheets in that Excel file, like sales data or target data. So if I click on target and click on run, it will read the information from target data. And if I change it from here, then it will read the data from the sales data. Sales. We have a few more configuration options on the left hand side. Like uh, sometimes what happens is like our data is not properly structured. Like our information is actually starting from fourth row or fifth row, correct? And that actually happens a lot of time, right? So what we need to do in that scenario is we have something here like row number 7, which says start data import on line 1. So we can start data importing from wherever we need to do it. Like if our data is starting from 8th row, we will just type 8 here. If our data is starting from 7th row, then we will type 7 here. Simple. Or any questions from anyone?
So this is basically just if we have extra column on the uh, input file, then we can just start from that particular row. It
Not
was
extra
for
column,
that
extra rows, not
extra
extra.
rows. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah.
For extra columns, we have something known as select tool. Okay. So select
Yeah.
tool actually helps us. So people who have installed their Alteryx on the system, I would request you to please go to the find or search bar, type select, and then click on example. I'm taking a small pause here to check if everyone is following. In case I'm going very fast, then please let me know. I will be glad to take it very slow also.
I have a question. Sorry to interrupt. I have a question that what if I want to delete a particular records? I mean, suppose I know that we imported data to Alteryx and I want
Right.
to delete two columns. How can we do
Yes.
that?
Yes. And I will answer your query in a few seconds.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So all those who have actually installed Alteryx, I hope that you are able to see the select example on your screen now. I'm clicking on run. So select tool actually is very useful tool. It helps in a lot of doing a lot of things, and the things are like we have like in the input data we have around 15 fields, right? Sometimes we do not require all the columns, right? So we needed a tool to limit our number of columns that we want to process further. Now, if we have around like 15 fields and I just need 8 of the columns to be able to create the data model, I just need eight columns. So I will use the select tool. How? When I drag and drop the select tool from the tool palette and I connect with the input data, it gives me the option on the left hand side, like which columns do I need to process for further steps. So I can unselect, like I do not require the latitude and the longitude. So I will just simply go ahead, uncheck those 2 columns. And when I click on run, the last node will tell you like we have 13 fields now because we have unchecked 2 of the columns. So that's the first use of select tool.
It's like a filter.
It's like a column filter. Yes. Like
Yeah.
which columns do we want to bring in on data and which columns do we want to filter out the data, filter out like from our data model. It helps in achieving data.
Yeah, like we select columns in SQL. That's like.
Correct. Now we don't have to write like a list of long queries in SQL to be able to select our data or unselect our data, right?
Right.
Now, like you can see a option on the left hand side on the configuration window where we can select all of them and we can deselect all of them also. So it quickly helps us in picking up the right information or like in a easier way. The other functionality that we have in the select tool is we can sort our columns in a easier way. Like I want the city, state, and zip for code uh, after all my other columns. So what I'm going to do is I've selected the city till zip 4 and I'm clicking on those arrows. So that's how easy it is to sort also using the select tool. Okay.
Sir, my software is getting off again and again. I don't know why.
You should try re
Yes, this is the
restarting
same
your.
case with me as well. It is getting shut down.
You can try restarting your Alteryx, or maybe you can focus on the screen right now, and probably after the class you can revisit the concepts.
Arun, I have one question.
Okay, sure, sir.
Now, you
Yep.
sorted city, state, and zip.
Yep.
So the values inside these columns will get
No,
sorted,
no,
or
oh no. We are actually sorting the columns, not the data which is lying in the columns.
okay.
For sorting the data inside the columns, we have a different tool, which is a sort tool, and I will speak about that also. Okay, so the first two features of the select tool are we can unselect the columns that we do not want to bring in our data model. Second, we can sort our columns, right? The third one is we can rename our columns. So we have a rename column here, like we can type first name or last name and just click on run. So instead of creating a different column, it will just rename the existing columns. And the best part about Alteryx is it does not write to the same data. So whatever ETL or transformations we are doing in Alteryx, it is lying in Alteryx only, in the Alteryx memory only. Okay. If you want to overwrite all our transformations in the original data, we can also achieve that. And I will tell you after after discussing a few more tools. Now we have discussed 3 features of select tool. The fourth one is basically sometimes whenever we receive the information, the data type of that particular column is not correct. So we have to make sure that date format is actually in the date format and the other format are also right. So we have an example here, like the visits. So let us see the column of visits in the data. As we can see that visits is probably the number of visits in that particular location or a store number, we have like one visit, four visit, two visits. But in if you look at the input data, and if I look at the data type of the visits, it is actually a string, right? Which is not correct. So if you want to change the data type, just click on the string and change it to float or double. Okay, you can also use an integer or whatever you want, but float and double is something that we use most of the times. And we do have a lot of actually data types in Alteryx, and I would request you to visit this particular website for knowing better on Alteryx data types. Since we have a very limited time, I'm sharing this link with all of you. After the class, please visit this website and try to read like what kind of data types we have in Alteryx. Like we have three types of strings, four types of strings, and this is basically nothing but the length of characters is different in each of these data types. Like we have numeric also, 16 digit or 32 or fixed decimal numbers. So I'm sharing this link on the chat window. Make sure you save this information with you, okay?
Sure, sir.
Okay, let's go back. So we have discussed a lot of features of the select tool, right? So select tool is basically your friend, which will help you in doing a lot of easy transformations. Now,
Is there any option such that the data types can be detected automatically?
no, actually, you have to manually do it. So whenever you're trying to bring in the information in Alteryx, just make sure that immediately after bringing the data, you put a select tool and check. You select your data, like which data you want to bring into for the further processing, which how many number of columns you want to take for further steps, and if the data type of all such columns is right or not.
Okay.
So those are the features of the select tool. We can also rename, or we can also what we can do is we can add a prefix or suffix also by going to the options. So I'm adding a prefix of test underscore. So that's also like that option is also available. Now we have discussed the select tool and we have discussed the browse tool, input tool. Let us talk the other tool, which is basically the. So right now we are just talking about the like how to bring in data into your Alteryx and then how to clean your data or how like data preparation tools. So first one that we have discussed is the select tool, right? And after selecting the information, the other tool that we have is data cleansing tool. So just
Sorry, here many select tools are available on the screen. Like when you loaded the example,
yep.
several were there, and then you dragged one from the window above. So, like, are they same? Like, if we perform a specific function, suppose we rename a column by clicking on any single selection tool, and then we click on other select tool, then will the rename show in this another one also?
Okay, so the example that we have on the screen is basically there to tell you like how many features that we have in select tool. Right here, we are only trying to bring in only three columns. In the next one, we are trying to do some other like we're trying to change the data type. In the other one, we are trying to rename the columns. In the other one, we are trying to sort the columns. And the other one, we are trying to add a prefix to the columns. So each
Okay,
of these tools are there to tell you like what kind of functionality do we have in Alteryx in the select tool. But if you were to work on any case or any project, you can do all of these steps in just one tool. You don't have to bring it again and again.
okay. So that is for explaining the functionality only.
Correct.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Now let us type in the search bar. Let us type data cleansing and click on example. Is there anyone on the call who is not able to follow? Please feel free to unmute yourself and ask your queries. Okay, I don't think anyone of you have any doubts. So let us move ahead. So data cleansing tool. Now, like in the first, what is the first thing that we do after receiving our data?
We clean the blanks and we clean the data duplicates, etc.
Correct. So data cleaning tool actually helps in achieving that the same part. Like if you click on the data cleansing tool, we have a lot of options on the left hand side. Like we can remove the null rows, we can remove the null columns, and we can select which columns are we talking about. Like I want to make some data cleansing or transformation in these four columns like customer ID, first name, last name, or term. I want to replace the blanks, replace with blanks, or replace the numerical fields with zero. Like in Power BI, you must have noticed that whenever we have a numerical field, we cannot have blanks in there, right? We need to have a zero inside it. And whenever we have a string field, we cannot have nulls in there. We need to have a blank. So similarly, we can perform some similar steps here also. Like in these four columns, I'm trying to replace with blanks and replace with zeros for numerical fields. And I'm also trying to delete, like trim and clean our data. Whenever we trim and clean our data, we are trying to remove some unwanted characters from our data, like extra spaces, right? So leading and trailing white space, tabs, line breaks, duplicate white space. And sometimes what happens is like I have a data with me which actually has a lot of unwanted characters like Arun 1234, then Piyush 123, Arvind 145, and we want to remove those letters. So we also have these functionality in the data cleansing tool. Like I want to remove all letters, I want to remove all numbers, I want to remove all punctuation marks, and I also want to modify the case to uppercase or lowercase. So all the data transformation, data cleansing related tools, uh, features are actually present in this one tool only, data cleansing tool. Now, if I click on run, I think I will hardly have anything after selecting all of them. Like I do not have anything first name, last name, or term because I've removed the letters, I've removed the numbers, and I removed a lot of information. Let me do it. So here we go. So right now I have modified the case as a lower. So the all the three columns actually have a information in lowercase only. If I select the numbers also, you will see that the numbers which are present in the third column, the term column, those will also go away. And I can also delete the letters similarly. Okay. So that's how our we can clean our data.
Sir, find and replace can also be done in this only. Like for specific a name, we know the spelling a mistake of specific name. Like then, like in Excel or other tool, we can do just to find and replace for single name.
Right.
So you
So
can that.
we have actually a different tool for that. This cannot be achieved using the data cleansing tool, but we have a different tool for achieving that.
Okay, sir.
Arun, how can we replace null value with the mean of the distribution or the standard deviation of the distribution?
I will tell you, Arvind, we can use a multi-row filled, multi-field formula for that. I will tell you how. So we have actually a multi-field formula in our agenda today, and we will discuss it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So we have already discussed the browse tool, input tool, data cleansing, and select tool, right? Then we have the sort. So I think someone from the group was asking like, how do we sort the information, right? For a particular column. So we can drag and drop the sort column into our workspace, and we can select like which column do we want to sort, and based on ascending or descending. So right now I'm using the last name, and I'm sorting it in the ascending order. If I click on run, it will be able to part. Like last name is basically in the sort order. Okay. So by now you would have already realized like how easy it is to use Alteryx, right? Like it's just in we do not require any kind of coding. We just need to use these tools which are available in this tool palette in order to do transform our data and clean our data.
Comparatively, it's much easier.
Yes, it is much easier. We just need to make sure that all our logics are accurate. Like if we are trying to connect two different data sets, right, we just need to make sure that we are selecting the primary column, and I'll tell you how that can be done. So let us move to the next, which is the
Hello,
filter tool.
hello,
Yep, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
hello. Yeah. I want to ask one thing. Like in Power BI, as a data analyst, the person is working. So his role is like data and preparing the visualization, like preparing the insight from the data, right? But
Mhm.
when it comes to Alteryx, what is his role in as analyst? Like data cleaning part only, or anything else like that? Can you
Okay,
give some example between
let,
different between the two
let me
roles?
give let me give you one example. So you must have heard about Tableau Prep, right?
Yes.
Okay, Tableau Prep was actually recent, I think recently in the last 2 to 3 years, right? Before using Tableau Prep, a lot of companies were actually using Alteryx because of its simplicity, like it's a low code and drag and drop platform. So whatever we need to whenever we need to create a ETL pipeline or we need to create a data model, we can use Alteryx. Now the role of analyst can be anything. It actually depends on project to project and company to company. Like some companies actually have a role of Power BI developer or a Tableau developer. Then they will only work on creating those visualizations, right? And for working on the data set, they actually have a different person. But what I think is in the coming next 1 year or 2 year, and it actually started. All of us have to work on data cleaning. All of us have to create those such ETL pipelines, and all of us have to create those visualizations also. So as a business analyst, as a data analyst, you must be aware about how to clean your data, how to build those data models. It's not only that somebody else will give us the data and we will just create the data visualizations. And let me tell you one thing also, like whenever we are working on any of the dashboards, sometimes we need to provide the input to the other person, like in what form do we need our data model? How many dimension tables do we want? How many fact tables do we want? So we have to create such uh, data models, right? And we have to share it with other people also so that they can create and share it with us. So having an experience or data cleaning or data transformation will only going to help you in future. I hope that answers your questions.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. Let us talk about the other tool now. So we have Excel raw data file here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use drag and drop the filter tool in front of it. And like in Excel, what we do is we can use any of the columns and we can write uh, any word to filter our data. In Alteryx also, we have some things very similar. After dragging and dropping your filter tool, you just need to select which column do you want to filter. So I want to filter by the customer name, where a customer name is equivalent to customer 22, or let us use the group actually. So I'm filtering the data where group is actually equal to group one. So group is equal to group one. Now if I click on that, all of my data has been filtered to group one only. Okay. I can use multiple conditions also, like group in
We are not audible.
yeah, just a second. I'm just writing the formula for you. So right now I'm trying to filter based on two values. So group one and group two. Similarly, I can add multiple values also. Group three. So this is how the filter tool actually works. And whenever you are writing a formula in Alteryx, you will you have a lot of options. Like you can click on FX, and that will tell you how many types of formulas do you have which you can use. Conditional also, if C, switch. So the formula, like the syntax of formula is very similar to what we have in Power BI and what we have in Excel. Like if conditions, switch conditions, right? We can also use something like this, like where the sales amount is greater than probably 5,000. Let us try doing that also. Sales amount is greater than or less than, let's say 5,000, greater than 5,000. So if I click on T, which is true, so all of my data where the sales amount is greater than 5,000 has been streamed to the true part, and I got around 166 records where my sales amount is greater than 5,000, and other ones actually move to the false part, which are less than 5,000. Now I can create another. We can use another tools, and I can connect with true also with false also, and I can create similarly pipelines in further steps. Like based on what logic I need to build, I can use T and F. Any questions on filter?
No question.
Okay, great. Do we have anything in the chat window? How to remove null? Use OR? Yeah, we can use OR also. Like just type here OR, and you will be able to use the group. You can also use contains, by the way. Contains is null, is empty, is not empty. Lot of options are there. We just need to explore them. Now,
Can we
considering
use top five like that? Like I want to see the only the top 10 of sales like that.
top five based on your sales,
Ah, yeah. The
multiple
sales
ways,
are more like top five,
there are
ascending or descending like that.
multiple ways of doing it, and I will tell you.
Okay.
Okay. So let us discuss the next part. So right now I have some data with me, right? So let us use a formula tool. Okay. So like in Excel, we have a formula bar which we can use, right? Like we are creating a column and we are writing the formula in Excel. Similarly, in Alteryx, we have a formula tool which we can bring into the workflow canvas, and we can start writing our formulas. Right now, we have sales amount and number of units purchased. So let us try to find out the sales price of each unit. Okay. I have actually brought down the formula tool from the formula bar, from the tool palette into the workspace. After clicking on it, I on the left hand side, I got a few options like I can add a new column, and I can also modify the existing columns. So right now I'm creating a new column, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to calculate the sales amount divided by units purchased. So average sales price. Okay, very simple. Like just like in Excel, we are dividing. Here also we need to divide. So sales amount divided by units purchased. Okay, in the data preview, we can see a example like what kind of values will we have if we divide these two things. And here we need to provide it a data type. So in this case, it will be like a fixed decimal, or it could be floating also. Let us use double and click on run. Now I will have an column where I will have the average sales price. Sounds good.
Yes, sir.
Similarly, like we have a lot of other formulas in formula tool. which I have already told you about. Like if my uh, group is actually group one, then do this, else do that. If conditions, or basically switch conditions, or we can also use the len part. Let us try using len. Like I just want to have the last two digits of the customer name. Last two digits customer name. So just use a len function here, or let us use the right function. The string is basically my customer name, and I'm going to bring only the last two digits. If I click on run, now I have column. Okay, something is wrong. Okay, it cannot be double. It needs to be string. So now we got the last two digits of the customer name also. Like just like in Excel, we have a lot of formulas which we can use for our data preparation. Is it clear?
Sir,
It is
are all
not
the
allowing.
formulas same as Excel?
Yes, sir.
Like most of the syntax are very similar to what we have in Excel and what we have in Power BI.
Okay,
There will
sir.
be little difference, but whenever you are writing the syntax, it will actually tell you what next part of the formula is. Like if I'm using if condition, it tells me if C, then T, else F, and F. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yep. Anyone with any doubt?
Hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, I want to ask one thing like that. In Power Query, we have when we implement any formula, so we can undo that. We can delete, and like the option is there. So in Alteryx also we have an option like that. What?
Right. Like we are, so basically what we are trying to create here is we are trying to create a pipeline, and we are trying to do it like a step-by-step process. Like first we code the data, then we use the select tool, then we use the formula, then we sorted it, right? And then we created a summary. I can revisit any of these steps and I can change from the left-hand side configuration window. Okay.
Got it.
Any questions from anyone before we proceed to the sample part?
Yes, I do have one question. Like, suppose whatever operations or whatever pipelines we gonna create, we have created now. What is the end result? I mean, we will save it, how to save it, and what will be the outcome? I mean, we can
Okay.
import it to any tool, or
Let
I'm not
me,
getting.
let me, yeah, I got your point. Let me share one example with you so that you have a good idea of what we are trying to achieve using Alteryx. Okay, just give me a second. So I have actually prepared a lot of case studies for you. And this is what we are going to solve in the next few classes. Okay, so like you are given a data of dates where actually it's not a good example. It's a difficult one. Let me choose a simpler one, which is also some has some fun element in it. Okay, so and actually let me open this solution instead of the question. Who turned off the lights? Yes. Okay, one example for everyone. Okay, so in this like the problem statement that we have in front of us is there are a lot of outages in this country. Okay, and we do not have a reliable electricity source, and the reason is like there are a lot of actually animals in that area which are responsible for the power outages. Okay, because of severe weather conditions or severe weather events or natural disasters, and sometimes the culprit are also animals. Now we have a data here. Okay, in the data we have to find out how many outage events can we attribute to the animals, and how many outages or the culprits with the count of events in the descending order. So we can have like multiple culprits, like maybe a dog or a cat or anything, or any natural disaster. So we have to count such events. Now we have some data. We are trying to figure out the answers. So we have created some kind of series of transformation steps. Where in each step we are trying to find something, and we're trying to transform the data to get to the actual answer. Now the actual answer is like by doing some data analysis, we are trying to find out like the snake was actually the reason for 113 power outages. The rat was the reason behind the 45 power outages. It's a very hypothetical data, right? So, and the input data that we had was this part, like news articles, and inside these news articles, we had a list of like a few animals mentioned in these lines, which we tried to search, and we also had some town related information and the country related information. So we did that analysis, okay, and we found the reasons, like how many times did a rat cause the power outages, or how many times a monkey caused the power outages. So similarly, like whenever we have some kind of problem statement, we can use Alteryx to find our data analysis. I do have a lot of other examples. This was the first one because I wanted to make sure that everyone is able to understand the use of Alteryx. So I kept the first case study as a funny one. I also have something like this, like predicting baseball wins, financial statement data process, drill analysis, beverage inventory, best housing market. So I have around six case studies. Does this make sense now?
Yes, and now I got it, like why we are performing it. Again, my question is related to that. Now
Mhm.
I have the requirement and I found the solution. I mean, performing transformation of operations, or by using multiple tools, I got the end result. So
Yep.
what if like person want, end user want that in visualization? So can
Right.
we
So what
import
happens is
that
like
end part?
sometimes, yep, we can actually output we can save our output into Excel file, CSV file, or any other source that we want to, and then we can connect with a data visualization tool, and it could be your Power BI, it could be Tableau, or it could be any other visualization tool. Okay. So
Okay, great. Thank you. Yes,
by using
I'm
Alteryx,
actually. Mhm,
yeah,
I'm sorry. Actually, I was looking for that only. Like in ETL pipeline, we clean the data. We have perform the operation that we want. Now we have clean data so that I
right.
can take it to any reporting tool, BI, like Power BI or a Tableau, and I can make it in visualization. I can share it to my client. Oh, hello, am I audible?
Hey guys, sorry I got dropped off. Let me share my screen again. I hope I'm audible now.
Yes, yes, you are audible now.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thanks for confirming. So, actually, like whenever we are done with our transformations, we can save the output. Okay, and again, like similarly in input tool, we are able to select which files do we want to bring into the data in the Alteryx. We can also set up a exit connection, like where do we want to save those output. We can save them as and like any file, like Excel file, a CSV file, or a Tableau file, or a JSON file, whichever file or extension do we want to save, we can utilize that. Okay. Now we have discussed the browse tool, input tool, output tool, and we have already discussed the data cleansing, filtering formula. Let us quickly discuss the sample tool. Okay.
Can you demonstrate that exit part?
Yeah, sure. Give me a few seconds. Huh? Let us discuss the sample part, and I will meanwhile, like while I'm explaining the sample, I will also explain you the output data. Okay, so right now I have samples tool on my screen. So in a lot of times actually we have huge GBs of data, right? We have around let's say we have around 50 GB of data. Now we want to create an ETL pipeline. So does that mean that we are going to process all our data while we are building the Alteryx workflow? It will take like many days, right? Like after every step, I'm going to run and I'm going to check whether my information is right or wrong, right? It will take a lot of time. In Power BI also, whenever you are trying to process huge data sets and whenever you are trying to close and apply, it actually takes a lot of time. So in those scenarios, what we do is we try to work on a sample data. We try to create the entire pipeline. And once we have identified and fixed all the issues using the sample data, we try to run the same workflow on the original data. And then we try to figure out if there are any additional issues. Using this technique, we are able to save a lot of time in creating our workflow on Alteryx or on any tool. Like on SQL also, let's just say that you have around 10 GBs of data and you are trying to write a lot of queries and you are trying to take out some data analytics from by using that commands of yours by writing some SQL commands. So it is taking a lot of time in processing those queries. It is taking around 3 hours. So it doesn't mean that you have to wait 3 hours to be able to see that what kind of results, what if your code is actually working or not. So the best practice is actually that you only take some sample data, around 1 GB data or a 2 GB data, like some random sample also, and then you write your queries, try to fix your commands or SQL queries, and then you run the entire thing on the actual data. So that way, it will save a lot of time. Similarly, like in sample two, we can pick the first n rows. Right now, like we have around 90 records here. So if I want to work on only the first 3 rows, I can work it. I can also work on the first 30 rows. I can also work on last 90 rows. I can skip the first n rows. I can also take like some percentage of rows. Like I want to take only first 10% of rows. And if I click on run, I will only get 9 rows. See, so by using sampling, we can actually save a lot of time and we can start creating our workflow. And then we can revisit this step and we can actually take all the rows, or we can also delete this step and uh, rerun this workflow to check if we are getting the right results or not. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So like sample. So sample is actually,
Once
yep.
again, you can explain how you selected the first 10 rows and after that how to merge it with 100 rows. Up till this, it is clear. And now what?
Okay.
If I have to see all the data?
Now let us suppose that this is my data pipeline. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now I run the entire thing on the, and I got I actually working on the only 10% of data. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now click on run and I got only 9 records. Now to be able to run my entire data on the run the entire data, what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this step and delete and connect around. So once this step is gone, I can rerun my entire data and I can see, like I can validate my results if it is accurate or not.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then I can probably bring it again. Like it's not taking much time, right? Just drag and drop. If I were to do it in SQL, it will take a lot of time by deleting queries and then retrying with the original data, right?
Yes.
So can we
Okay.
say that Alteryx is a ETL tool that will help us when we are working on huge data sets? I mean 2 GB, 10 GB. So it will save a lot of time. And when
I
we have
have
a clean
actually,
data, we can
yeah,
take it to any tool.
yep, we can. I have actually worked on hundreds GBs of data, and the best part about Alteryx is if you have the license, you can actually save your workflow over the cloud, and if your data sources are also on the cloud, then you can actually do a schedule refresh. Like each time it will pick at a particular time, it will pick the data from the data source, and it will save the output on its destination.
Okay,
Okay.
got it.
And from
Now,
there, it can be read by Power BI also at a schedule refresh again, using the schedule refresh again.
okay, I was thinking in that way, like what if Power BI give that facility that we can take a data from Alteryx data?
Like Power BI can actually read the data from a CSV file or from Excel file, right? So what we can do is we can use Alteryx. We can save the output in a CSV file and save the Alteryx CSV file on a SharePoint drive, on a Google Drive or a OneDrive. And from there, Power BI can actually read the information. And we can use a schedule refresh option, right? So we don't have to revisit our the Alteryx in order to save our output. It will work like just like Power BI works, like picking up the data set from the data source and then processing the information and publishing the report at a particular time only. Hmm. Okay.
Ye-
Now,
Yes, I think
yeah,
this gonna be game changer for me. I think if I work as a Power BI developer and I have a huge data set, I can take it to Alteryx. I can clean that data. I can
only if
import into
you have
CSV
only if you have
license.
access to, yes. And then let me tell you the cost of Alteryx license. That is $5,000.
Uh, at least I can propose my like a manager or a team that if we have a large data set, that Alteryx gonna
Yep,
help us.
yep. It's a nice tool to have in your what do we say, armory, right? Okay.
Yes,
Now,
thank you.
sample tool actually not the right choice whenever we need to take a sample. The right choice to use is a random sample, right? Because we want our results to be accurate, right? We should actually pick our samples randomly, right? So that we do not have any biasness in the data, in the output. Like we're not picking the first 10 rows, we're not picking up the last 10 rows, we're not picking the middle 10 rows. We're not using any percentage to pick rows. What we can do is we can use the random sample tool, okay? And using the random sample tool, we can define like how many records do we want from the data randomly. So right now we have around 20,457 rows, out of which I want to pick 500 rows and I want to proceed with these only. And I will create the entire ETL pipeline and then I will revisit if to check if I need to make any further changes. So these 500 records will be actually picked randomly, like anywhere from the, okay. I can also play with random percent of records, like 10% randomly, 20% of records randomly. Make sense? Any doubts? Am I audible, guys?
Yes, you are.
Hello?
No,
Okay,
no doubt.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you
thank you.
are audible.
Okay. Now let me talk about the most important tool in Alteryx, which is also a most important tool in Excel. So I am sure that you have worked on pivot tables, correct? Right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yes, sir.
So whenever we work on pivot tables, we get a few options to aggregate our results, right? Like we can aggregate our results basis the sum or count of records or average, right? Or median or mode, right? In Alteryx, we have a option for summarizing our data. In Power BI, we have like we can create a DEX measure to summarize our data. In Power Query, we can use group by function to aggregate our result, right? In Alteryx, we have a summarize option. Now it is also very easy to use. Like we just need to connect it with the data. After connecting with the data, like I want to find out the number of units purchased by group. Okay, how many units have been purchased by each group? This is what I want to find out. Now, if I were to do it in Excel, what I will do is I will pivot the entire data and I will drag and drop the group information into the pivot and I will take the sum of units, right? Similarly, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on group and I'm going to click on group by and I'm going to click on units purchased and I'm going to sum them up. And I can also taking like the sum of sales amount. When I click on run, it will create a similar result that we have in pivot. Like these are my number of groups and these are the number of units purchased by each group and these are the sales amount.
Can you please explain it again?
Okay, let me do it. Just a second.
And for this part, please go a little slow, please.
Could you please repeat yourself?
For this part, please go a little slower.
Okay.
Yeah, sir.
Okay, I got the file now. I'm opening Excel file. Okay, just give me a second. Okay, so I have some data with me on Excel. Okay, I want to find out how many units have been we have actually sold in the month of January, February, like by each month, and how what was the total sales amount. So what we going to do in Excel in order to find out that is we are going to create a pivot. So this is my date column. Okay, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to pick this sales amount and I'm going to drag it to the values and I will take a sum. Similarly, I'm going to pick units. I'm going to drag it and take a sum. Right now, like what I have in the pivot table is I have the right answer. Like for the month of January, these are the number of units which we have sold, and these are the sales amount. Is everything clear till now?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
So in Alteryx, we have a similar tool which is known as summarize. So we are taking a group by here, right? And we are taking the sum of the sales amount and the units purchased here. Let me do one thing. Let me take a sum of group by was sales date.
Sir, can you redo this?
Okay, yeah, sure. So sales date group by, okay, sales amount, because it's a the data type is double, it's actually like in numbers. So I'm going to sum it up and I'm also going to sum the value of units. So it will create three columns. One is the sales date and how many units we have purchased on that particular date and how many, what was the sales amount. Okay. Now we can also do a certain few more things and using the summarize tool, which is like we can actually count the number of records. We can also take the minimum number of sales, maximum number of sales. We can also count the net, like these many things. If I go to the numeric, I can also count the average. And I can also count the mean, median, mode, etc. Average ignoring zeros also. So a lot of things are actually available in summarize tool, which we can use. Now, if I click on run, these are the dates and these are the total sales amount and these are the units purchased and this is the average unit purchased. Okay.
Got it.
Hello.
Yep.
In average unit purchase, there is some error is showing on the color. What is the reason for that?
Okay, just a second. Let me do it again.
Just click on the average unit
Uh,
column.
Yep. Just a second. So whenever you see these kind of errors, you can actually over it, and it will tell you like display value was rounded to 6 decimals places for clarity. Okay, it's not error. It is just telling you that we have rounded off the numbers. Okay. If there is any error, that will be reflected in these three things: errors, conversion error, or warnings. Okay.
So can we rounded up till a particular decimal? I mean two or
Yep, we can. Okay. You can use a formula tool, okay, to do that. Like using a formula tool, you can round. Okay. Like similarly to what you will use in Excel, we have a formula tool to do the simpler things. Is everything clear till here?
Yes,
yes.
sir.
Okay. Now let's talk about the most important things and a few typical ones, like the join tool.
So you said after sample you would demonstrate the output option.
Okay. Thanks for reminding me that. So let us use the summarize tool actually. So I have 319 records, which now these are the number of records which I want to save. So that there are few ways of downloading the information from Alteryx. One way of doing that is we go to actions, go to copy to export, and then all records with the headers, like with the column names or without headers. Just click on all headers, and some part of data is some like you will be able to download. However, if the data set is very huge, then you won't be able to copy all of the records. In that scenario, you have to use a output data. Just connect it with the summarize tool. Now I want to save all these results on my desktop in a CSV format. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to files, select file, and I'm going to save my results onto the desktop. The name of the file will be test.csv. I'm going to click on save, click on run. Now the file has generated. I can go to my desktop. This is the file which just got generated. Now if I open it, it will have the same number of records. Okay, sorry, I have actually two files, the same name. Let me open it again. Yep. So I have around
Yes, 45 records in both.
so I have 45 records here, and in the this file also we have 45 records. Correct? Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Like we had in the input data, we had around 319 records. After summarizing it to a group or sales data level, we are left with only 45 records, which we were able to save to a output. Now we can also write our results on a SQL table. We can also read information from a SQL table. We don't have to actually uh, write those SQL queries. We can all directly use Alteryx. So all those functionalities are there. Let us quickly talk about the join. We have around 1 hour. So I want to utilize that to discuss a few more topics. Now the join in Alteryx is a little different, okay? And it is very easy to understand also. For simplicity, I'm going to delete these ones. So this is my first table. Like this is the comment tool which I can bring into here. I can type like this is my table 1. Which is my left table. Okay. This is my table 2. Which is my right table. Okay, so we have two tables, table 1 and table 2. Table 1 is connected to the left hand side part of the join tool. So this is the join tool. And table 2 is connected with the R part. R means right, L means left. Since table 1 is connected with the left L part, we have named it as the left table. And table 2 is connected with the R part, we have named it as the right table. Now we want to join these two tables and we want to get some additional columns which are not present in the left table. So in the left table, we have this information with us. We have customer ID, we have first name, last name, gender, and join date. Okay, we have we have around 5 columns: customer ID, first name, last name, gender, and join date. And we have these many records, 6 records. Okay. In the second table, we have the first purchase date, and we have 5 records. Now we have 1, 2, 5, 31, and 49. Okay. Here we had the customer ID as 1, 2, 5, 31, and 49. So 456 record, the record with 456 customer ID is not part of the right table. Till now, is everything clear? Like what kind of data do we have in these two tables?
Yeah.
Okay. So on the left hand side, we have around six rows. The second row is actually not present in the right one. So what we are going to do now is we are going to bring in the join tool, connect the L part with the L1, right part with the right one. And joining in Alteryx is very easy again. Like whenever you click on the join part, on the left hand side, we can join by specific fields. Just like in Power BI, we get to select multiple columns, right, in Power Query to join our data. In Alteryx also, we can click on the left part and we want to join them by customer ID. On the right side also, we want to join by customer ID. Okay. When I click on run, I will get 3 results. First one I will get is the L part, which is the left part. The second one is the inner join, which is the J part, and the right is the right part. R is the right part. Now, as we can see, we have 6 records in the left table and 5 records in the right table. So L will show us basically the results which are not available in the right table. Okay. Now, can anyone tell me which one of these records is actually not part of the right table?
Customer ID
456. 456. Row number 2.
So if I click on L, I should be able to see that. Yes, right. So when we connected these two tables with the customer ID 456, which is present on the left hand side table, is not present on the right hand side. So we can see that in the L part. Now all our 5 records, which are common in both the two tables, we should be able to see that in the inner join. Yes, we can see that, right?
Yes.
Now, since we have a inner join here, we can bring the additional piece of information from the right table. Now that can be brought into Alteryx from the configuration window. Like these are my fields which are present on the left table, and it actually tells you the left. These are the two tables which are present in the second, the two columns which are present in the right table. So we are bringing the first purchase date wherever I have the inner join. Okay. So wherever my customer ID is on the left hand side and the right hand side is matching, just like in when you're using a VLOOKUP in Excel, wherever your VLOOKUP has a match, it will fetch the information from the other table, right? In Alteryx also, or in joining also, whenever you have an inner join, we try to get the information from the other table. So we got the first purchase date. On the right hand side, we are going to have a 0 because none of the records are unique, like different in the right hand table, which are not present in the left hand side. Is it clear now?
Yep.
Any doubts?
So inner join is completely equals to VLOOKUP.
Inner join is basically your VLOOKUP only. Yep. Now let me tell you one thing. Sometimes we get multiple values also, like the customer ID 1 can be present multiple times in the right table. So how do we check that? Right now, when I click on the left hand side table, I can see that I have 6 records. Correct? Yes? No? Maybe?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So the L plus J are basically the things which are unique in left side table, and basically the things which are common in the both the two tables. The number of records in those L plus J should be equivalent to what we have in left table. Correct? So if I have
Right. Right.
just a second, I'm trying to share right. Okay, can you see my screen and can you see my sketch also?
I think it is in progress. Whiteboard in progress. That's what we are able to see.
Can you see it now?
No, sir. No, Arun, it is not visible.
Okay, I think Teams has some issue. Let me close it.
It's visible now.
No.
Okay, let me close it over here. Just a second. Okay, it is taking time for some reason. Okay. Guys, please do not sketch on the screen. Let me do it. Okay. Okay. Yep. Okay. So, is there anyone who has any questions on the L plus J is should be equivalent to the L part?
I
Yes,
have a
repeat the
question regarding.
question.
Okay, let me take one example. Okay. Mm, so let us take one example. Like my name is Arun, and Arun is studying 5 subjects. Okay. Then there is Arvind who is studying 6 subjects. Okay. Now let me use Excel actually. A B C D E. Okay. A B C D E F. Okay. Now how many subjects is Arvind studying? 6, right?
Right.
And Arun is studying 5. And what are the common number of records?
5.
Correct. Unique records of Arvind. Can anyone tell me which
1
Arun
F.
is not studying? Okay.
1. That is F.
Fine.
Unique records of Arun. Can anyone tell me?
0.
0. Now, if I sum up the common records with Arvind, I will get the total number of subjects which Arvind is
How
studying.
zero, sir?
I will tell you. If I sum up the common records of Arvind, like both Arun and Arvind, which is 5 subjects, and one extra subject which Arvind is learning or studying is 1. If I sum up, how many records do I get? 6,
6.
right? Which is the total number of records which Arvind is studying. Correct?
Yes.
Now, if I am not studying any extra subjects, and all these subjects which I am studying, Arvind is also studying. These are like 5 records, right? A, B, C, D, E, and all of them, or like Arvind is also studying. So if I sum up the common records and if I sum up the common records of Arun, I will get the all the subjects which are being studied by Arun, right? So this is the
Mm,
join. Okay, this was your left. Actually,
right.
this is left and this is
No.
right. Okay, so this is your left L part in Alteryx. Okay, and this is your right part in Alteryx. Is it making sense now? Here,
Yes.
like L plus J, which is the number of subjects which is studied by Arvind plus Arun, which is 5. And then left hand side, we only have one additional subject which is studied by Arvind. So number of records L plus J
So can
will
you
be
explain once again? That would be great, sir.
okay. One last time. Okay. This is
Yeah, one
basically
last time, sir.
okay. This is Arun.
With
Okay.
the same analogy. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So Arvind is studying 6 subjects. Arun is studying only 5 subjects. Okay. How many common subjects are they studying?
5.
5.
That is your inner
Fine.
join. That is your inner join. Okay. Common
Right.
number of chords between the two is inner join. Now, how many subjects is Arvind studying, but Arun is not studying?
1.
1.
1.
So if I sum up these two, I will get all the subjects which Arvind is studying. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
6
Yes.
record.
Okay. Now, how many subjects like is Arun studying which Arvind is not studying?
0.
0. So if I sum up 0 with 5, I will get the number of subjects which Arun is studying, which is 5.
Right.
Okay. Similarly, in this one, if I sum up L plus J, we will get all the records of L like Arvind. And if I sum up the inner join plus right records, basically the subjects which the Arun is studying but Arvind is not studying, in this case 0 plus 5 will be equivalent to number of records 5. Now, if L plus J is not equivalent to L, that means you have a some big issue in your join. So if I'm like I'm joining the customer ID with first purchase date, okay, and if I click on run, actually I won't be able to do it because first purchase date is actually a different field, different data type. Let me change it to a string, and then I will be able to do it. Okay, what happened now? String only to string. Let me take that string also. Customer ID string. Now I'm taking one example to show you like how do we identify issues in the join, the merge part. Okay. Now in this case, we are actually joining the Arvind and Arun like the left table and the right table on the basis of customer ID and the first purchase date. Now nothing is common in between these two, right? So L plus J in this case, like we do not have anything common in the here. Okay, and right side also we do not have anything common. So in this case, we can see that there is nothing inner join. So we have a like a issue in the joining our data. We won't be able to proceed ahead because our primary keys are actually not correct. So by looking at the L part, the J part, and the R part, we are able to identify the issues in our data. Okay. So in this case, we cannot actually join. And what we need to do here is we need to make sure that we are using the customer ID to join. And when we click on run, the customer ID should be a string. Okay, just a second. And whenever we are actually joining our data, we need to put that uh, our data type of both the fields is actually same. Like it should be string. It should be if one of them is string, then another one should also be string. If one of them is integer, then other one also should be of integer only. Okay, is it clear or any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay, let us take the other part now, which is union.
I have one question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So in left join, we are looking at only the values which are present in the left table and not in the right one, right?
Correct.
So when we click on L, so do we see
Yes.
the all the columns from both the tables?
No, we will only show those results which are not present on the right hand side.
No, no, I'm talking about not the rows, the columns.
Yes, we will see all the columns. No? Yes.
Okay, from the right table also.
No, no, no. We will only see the okay. If you are not able to match the L part with the art part, then how will be able to show the right columns, like which are columns which are present on the right side table. So when
Okay,
we
okay,
click on
okay.
L, it will only show the information which is available on the left side only, not on the right hand side. Be it row or
Okay,
be it any column. Okay.
okay. And the inner join ones, uh,
It
that
it
shows.
will give us an option to select which information do we want to pick from the left hand side and the right hand side. Okay. Let us discuss
It's
the
just
union
like
part.
joining in SQL.
Yes, yes. If you have ever worked on lookup, if you have ever worked on the SQL queries, then you would be able to understand. Okay, let us discuss the union part now. Now, union is very similar to what we actually normally call as like appending the information, right? Like in the first one, we have around 4 rows. Okay, we have stream number, ID, first name, and last name. In the second table, we have stream number, first name, last name, and ID, and we have 4 rows here. Now, when we are using the append, we will get how many records? 4 plus 4, 8 records. Okay, very simple, I think. So 4 records in the first one, 4 records in the second one. If we append both of these tables, then we will get 8 records. Okay. Sometimes your columns will not be the column name will not be same. So in that case, what we need to do is on the left hand side we get 3 options: auto configuration by name, auto configuration by position, and manually configure the fields. So when I click on the manually configure fields, we will get a option to select which column do we want to append below which column. So like in the first part, so this is the first table. The second part, this is the second table. These are the name of the columns that we have in both these two tables, and we can simply tell Alteryx that I want to append stream number below the stream number of the first table, ID number from the second table to the appended to the first table where ID column is same. Now, like just trying to put information one below the another, nothing else. Now, if you have like a lot of files in your uh, let me take another example. Let me create a folder here. And I'm going to save this test file multiple times here. Okay. Now in just one of the files, I had in the one file I had I think 319 rows, I guess. Okay. In this one, we have around 42,458 records. Okay. In the test file. Now I want to append the other file also. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a union, connect, run. Now I will get twice the number of records, 84,916. Is it clear now? Any questions on the append tool?
Just as in Power BI, if we have a column, like if in table 1 we have 4 columns and in table 2 we have 3 columns, will the column that is not present in table 2, will it have null values or will it not be able to union only?
it will have null values. It will have null values. Okay.
Okay, it's because I asked this in the case of left join in like SQL, we get null to the corresponding value from the right table, right?
Now it will actually create the additional column which you have, and then wherever it is not available, information is not available, it will show you as the blank or null.
Okay.
Okay. Now there is another way of appending information which we are going to use. Okay. Now we have like around 6 files here, right? We want to append all these 6 files using just one step. So what we are going to do is we are going to copy this address. We are going to use the input data, and we are going to paste this address into the uh, Alteryx address, which is here on the left hand side. Okay, just a second. Copy. Okay, let us set up connection actually. Files, select. Sorry, the address mentorship Alteryx. Okay, mentorship Alteryx. Just pick any of these files. So I'm going to pick test CSV. Now what I will do is I will go to the right side of the address, and I'm going to delete the file name, and I'm going to put a star here. Okay, so star is actually a wild character which we can use to tell Alteryx that whatever files we have in this particular folder append with a file extension as .csv, please append all those files and give me the result. If I click on run, it will append all the files and will tell me the number of records. Now if I run, like I have 2,54,748. Okay. Now if my file name is starting with test, so what I can do is I can also use something like this, like test star. So just like in Excel, we use a lot of control F, control H, right? And then we use star functionality to find some informant piece of information from our data. In Alteryx also we can use a wild character
Yeah.
for
So this is
appending
like
the information.
this is like regular expression, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So this is how you append the information using the input tool also. You don't have to bring all the files together and then connect with or union. If the file format, so for using this particular wild character case, you need to make sure that the structure of all those files is same. It cannot be different. Otherwise, it will start throwing you error. Okay.
So it's
Is it
basically a combine option in Power BI with the folder path option.
correct? Yes. Okay. Let us move to the next part. So the last part that we have in the favorite tools is the text to columns. We have discussed actually each and everything. The next part is text to columns. Now, text to columns is actually a feature in Excel also, where you are trying to split the columns, right? So I'm going to try to split the column of location by comma. So what I'm going to do is I want to split the column. I want to create 2 columns, and the delimiter is going to be my comma. So click on run. The result, we will have two additional columns here, one for location 1, location 2, and the information has been split. Is it clear?
Why we put comma?
Okay, because we are trying to segregate, or we are trying to separate the information that we have in location column. So here we have a comma which is separating this information. So we can also use a comma and a space. Okay, is it clear? I think it's a pretty common thing which we also use in Excel, right? Like a delimiter or a text to delimit functions. In Power BI also we can use a split column.
Yes, it just used to split by using a delimiter.
Yes, correct. So by now, I think you have already understood like what kind of tools do we have in Alteryx, right? And similarly, we have a lot of other tools. Like we have to discuss the input. Uh, so we have a like a tool for date and time also, where we can pick any date format. Like I want to know the current day, date, month, and year. So I just click on run. It will provide us today's date, and we can also mention the time also. Will tell us the date with the time also. Now in Power BI, we have actually one more functionality where we can write our own data. So in Alteryx, we have text input. So when you bring the text input here in Alteryx, we get an option to select to write our own data. Like I want to create a data for month name or month number basically. So 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I want to create a column for month name. So Jan, Feb, March, April, May, June. So this is how I can easily create a like a data inside a Alteryx. I can also copy and paste from any tool like Excel or PowerPoint or PDF. Wherever I have a tabular information, I can just copy and paste here. So this is the text input. Now in the
So how much knowledge of Alteryx is required in order to get the core certification exam by Alteryx?
So in this classes, we are actually going to discuss only those relevant topics which will help you in getting at least 2 certifications of Alteryx. Okay, there are few students in the past who have actually like I connected to the Alteryx class in the past also, and I think 4 to 5 students of my group were able to get the Alteryx classes. And the reason is like only those 4 to 5 people appear for the examinations. The rest of them probably not serious or dedicated. I'm not sure what are the reason, but uh, you will be able to clear the examination after attending the classes. Okay, let us move to the preparation part. So preparation part is a little, I think most of the things we have already discussed, like data cleansing, filtering, formula, sample, select records. Let me tell you what a select record does. So we can also like pick a range. Okay, like I want to pick the data from. I have around 42,000 reports in the test file. So I want to bring only 100 to 2,000 records. So it will provide me that number of records only, 1901 records. Easy to understand again. Okay, let me do a quick detailing on the unique also. So sometimes we have like a lot of unique duplicate information in our data, right? So we can remove that duplicate information by using the unique tool, and we can select like which columns do we want to consider for removing the duplicate information. Like just like in Power BI, you guys have the option to select the columns and then removing the duplicate rows, right? In Alteryx also you have unique tool, which will tell you like how many number of unique rows you have. Like I have 42,458 records, and how many duplicates do we have? So right now we do not have any duplicate records. But if we were to find out on the basis of let's say location, then let's see. On the basis of location, we have around 11,635 records for which the location is unique, and the number of duplicate records is 30,000 where the location is actually repeating. Okay, that's how you use the unique tool in your Alteryx.
This is the way how we detect the duplicates and how to delete the duplicates.
So we just okay. So we don't have to delete anything here. We just need to connect our further steps to unique data only. Okay. We can skip the D part. We can connect our data with unique part only.
Okay.
Okay. So let's say we have 3 rows where our product name is, let's say, Parley, and Nestle. Then it will, the unique part will show us Parley and Nestle. The duplicate part will show us Parley only. Okay. So we can work with unique and we can skip the duplicate ones. And it is going to be most useful whenever you are trying to append a lot of information. So like in the union, we were actually trying to append a lot of information, right? Like we first code the data from the input tool. Let me do one thing. I'm going to bring these 2 files again in Alteryx. Okay. I'm going to take a union of these. So after taking the union of these two, if I click on run, like I had around 42,000 records here, 42 here. The total number of records here are at 84,000. So sometimes what happens is like we receive a lot of information from the client side, right? And like they send the information on a monthly basis, January, February, March. What happens is like sometimes the records which are also present in January, they're also present in the month of February, next month. Okay, that probably happens because there is a difference in difference of the day when we are downloading the information. So sometimes like for January, we're trying to download the information of February, like on 2nd of February. So there will be some rows which are of 1st February or 2nd February. In those cases, we have to use the duplicate tool, unique tool. Like I'm taking a unique here. So after taking it, I will again get 42,458 records. Make sense? Okay. So here we have discussed unique, sort, select tool, select, sample, record ID. Let us talk about the record ID. So most of it you actually worked on in the index part on Power BI, right? Where we are trying to assign a unique value to each row, correct? In this case, we can use the record ID in Alteryx, and we can also provide the starting value. So we are trying to create a column which will tell us like what is the row number. So by using the record ID, we can create that column. This is the record ID column which is generated, and it is telling the record number. Okay. Is it clear? Any doubts, guys?
Yeah, it's clear. It's basically adding the index to the respective record.
Correct. Correct. Now we have a few formulas like multi-row formula or multi-field formula. I'm going to share an example on multi-row formula. Now, Arvind had a question, right? Like, what if there are nulls in a existing column? Okay. Now we have some data with us, like the year is 2012. So sometimes what, like when we receive the information, there are a lot of gaps in the Excel data. Like the data is actually not properly formatted, or maybe they are using merge rows, where like for 10 rows they are only showing value in one of the rows only. Like the data for 2012 is starting from here, and then it is blank, and then 2000 data 13 data is starting from here, and then the rest of the rows are blank, and then 14 is starting here. So in this case, what we are trying to do is we are using a multi-row formula because you want to do some operations in multiple rows. That's why the name of the tool is multi-row formula. Now we are trying to fill in the information, the null information, using the multi-row formula. So what we need to do is just bring in the multi-row formula, go to the left hand side, and do we want to create a new field or do we want
The connection is gone.
Again, I'm back again.
Is there an issue?
I'm back again. Sorry, I think there was some kind of network issue. I'm back again. I hope that I'm audible.
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Yeah,
Okay. So since we are actually trying to do a lot of updates on multiple rows, that's why the name of this tool is multiple row formula. Okay. Right now we are trying to fill in the information, and we can actually do it in a existing field also and a new field also. So this is here where we can select like do you want to
sir, I'm not getting it. Can you explain it with a simple analogy, like you like you did earlier?
Okay. So right now we receive some data, okay, from the client, and the data is actually not properly formatted in the Excel file. Okay, like 2012 data is starting from here, but 2012 is not written in many of the rows. Similarly, like 2013 data is starting from this 13th row, 13th record, and the rest of the rows actually do not have a year written there. So we are trying to fill this null information based on the existing information only. So in this case, we are going to use a multiple row formula because we are trying to put in updates to the existing field or trying to create a new one using in multiple rows. So the name of the tool is multiple row formula. Does it make sense now? Any queries from anyone?
Updates means what? What do you mean by update?
Like we are trying to update the existing field now. Like right now we do not have the year information in the record 2. We have a null.
Okay.
So we are trying to update this information here. We're trying to write some information to this particular cell. Similarly, we are trying to write 2012 in this all these null values. And for these values, we are going to write 2014. These values we are going to write 2013.
I think it is same as fill in Power BI. Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Correct.
It is
We are
fill up
trying to
control
fill
down.
in, we are trying to fill the information correct. Okay. Now we are going to use multi-row formula for this part. So we have two options, like we can create a new field also, and we can also update the existing field. Okay. So right now, like in the expression part, we have to write that information. Now, this is the data. Like let us try to understand this part. Like we have 2012 value. Okay. And now here we need to fill the information, and we want to pick this information from the preceding row. Correct? Right now we are in the record number second, and we have to pick the information from the preceding row, which is record number 1, and we want to write 2012 in the second row. Is it clear? The objective of using the
Yes.
multi-row formula is clear, right? Now, in the expression part,
Is it
what
like a
we are
window
doing,
function?
let us talk about that also, but let us try to clear the expression here for the Alteryx first. So we are trying to fill the information based on the previous row. So wherever we have a null value, if is null year, if year is null, like in the second row, if year is null, then we are picking the value from row -1 from year column. Okay. And if the year is not null, then show whatever we had earlier. Okay. So if I were to define the logic for filling the information without looking at the formula also, like in mind also you will have similar logic. Like here, I do not have a year value mentioned. Okay. So if my year value is not mentioned, I want to fill in that information from the preceding row. And if my year value is already mentioned, then I do not want to make any changes. Is it clear?
Yes.
And okay. Now in the expressions part, this is what we are going to write only. And we have a few examples like row -1, row +1, row +0 also.
Why
So
we have
here,
written end if in the end?
okay. So in when we are using if condition in Excel, we don't have to write and if. when we are using Alteryx, the syntax is built like that only, that we after every if statement we have to write index. Okay.
After every statement
After
or conditional
if
statement.
after every if statement.
Okay, means conditional statements, right?
Right. Okay. Like if, then else,
Got
then
it.
and. Okay. Now I hope that it is clear. So when we run this information, the information is picked from the preceding row, and we are able to get the answers. So this is how the multi-row formula is used. Okay. Now Arvind had a question here, like how to fill in the information where we have blanks in sales. Correct? Do we have Arvind on the call? I think we do not have, but okay. So like we can also do this thing, like wherever we do not, wherever we have blanks, we can use the preceding row, and we can also define the name of the column from where we want to pick the information. If I want to pick the sales, then also I will be able to enter the sales information here. Like right now I'm filling this information from the sales amount. Okay, so what I can do for filling the average is, like here I will create another column which will tell me the sales of product A, average sales of product A, and I will mention the name of the average product, average sales column here, and it will start picking the average from there only. Is it clear?
Can you tell this again, please?
Okay, let us assume that we do not have a like a value here, like 398 is not written here. Okay. Now what we can do is we can write the formula in such a way that first of all we will try to create a column which will tell us these sales, the average sales. Okay, let me actually show it to you. Just a second.
This formula that was written in the expression, was it auto-generated or you wrote it?
So right now I'm using examples which are already built in Alteryx, but
Okay.
this is how we need to use expressions. Okay. Now I'm trying to create a another formula for getting the sales, like average sales for each product. Okay. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use summarize. I'm going to find out the average sales by product. Okay. So this is grouping by product, and this is my average sales of the product. Numeric, picking up the average, running it. Now the summarize part, I got the average sales of each product. Okay. I'm going to create another column for average sales. Like right now I have year, month, product, and sales. I'm going to create another column here for average sales. Now what I will do is I will take join. I will connect with the R and this one with the L. And I'm going to join it on the basis of product. And I'm going to bring the information for sales, average sales. When I click on run, I do not have any L or R here. I only have inner join, and these are my average sales for product A. And this is for C. This is for product B. Okay. Now let us assume that we do not have. So let's do one thing. Now, wherever I have blanks, I want to fill it with average sales. Okay. How will I do it? We have to use a multi-row formula. Correct. Now, what the formula will be if if null. Okay, probably I do not have that. I want to create a new field for year, and it will be a double. I want to use some functions. So conditions. Let's see. So actually here we do not have the we cannot see the context. Just a second. Let me pick the formula from there only. Even I do not if I, like I have worked on multiple tools. It's very hard for me to remind like I remember all the formulas. So right now I'm going to add it to the formula. If year is null, then I want to pick the average sales from the same row. Let us pick from the different row, and I want to pick from the average sales. Now if I run this, create a new field. Okay. Yep. So we created a new column. Wherever we had a blank, we filled it with the average sales. Okay.
I have one question. Like here we are taking the rows from inner join, right? What if we want from both left and inner join? Can we do that?
Yep, we can do that. Like we can take a union, we can connect with L, we can connect with R also. But there is no purpose of doing that because in this case we are always going to have an inner join only because
Yes,
whatever
yes,
we
yes.
had on the right hand side, it was based on the our data only, right?
Yes. Okay. No, it was just a question. So in left join, we have like don't have all the columns. So it will populate null for the columns which are not